The car in like that quick just went sideways with a trailer behind it. So now we're going 70 miles an hour sideways, sliding.
And I black out before we actually hit, which I'm thankful for. And then I feel my ear, and my ear has blood coming out of it.
No, I thought you were going to die. And it scared me because all I heard was you've been hit in the head and you're not responsive.
We hit the trees, and I kind of remember it's just like they film it in a movie where you're like coming up to the trees and then the screen goes black. It's just like that in the memory.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Twerk Ethic Show. My name is JT. The guy that usually sits here, his name's Cooley.
Cooley.
He's traveling. I was traveling the week before, so we're doing a replay. We'll be back next week, but we're doing a replay from our very first guest, Rudy.
Well, I have to ask before I say anything, did you get my invoice for this?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
You got
$50,000 for 10 minutes.
That's fine.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you got that.
That's fine.
What?
It was a fantastic episode. Couple of things to note. We now have a second camera, and we also have a second microphone. When we did Rudy, we did not yet have a second camera or a second microphone. So him and Cooley had to share. So keep that in mind. It's kind of comical.
What's up, Rudy?
What's up, Nathan?
How are you?
I'm good.
If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, I guess it doesn't really matter. A couple of things that I think are worth highlighting, which you already heard in the intro, is the story of the car wreck. This is insane. It really happened. This story is really well told in this podcast, and how we get the sounds that we use. So this and this and this. And there's a full song that goes with that is mentioned in this episode.
So we gotta keep it together, 'cause we know the future gets better.
And there are two parts, but today we're only doing part one. So if you really like this one and you want to do part two, I believe it's episode 27. So you can just scroll back to last year, episode 27, and view the part two. But we'll be back next week, and we hope you enjoy this replay of Rudy. Thanks. So, welcome to the Twerk Ethic Show. I'm JT.
Cooley.
That's Cooley. We're a comedy podcast.
Yes.
We're also a YouTube channel, wouldn't you say?
I would say that.
And today is a very special day.
Right.
You want to tell them why?
Yes.
So, today...
Yeah, I have no idea.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
Today we have our very first guest on.
Yes.
We're going to be like a real talk show today.
Yes.
I've known him for 16 years now.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I would say our guest is a friend to us.
Uh-huh.
He's a
friend to all.
He's a husband.
Really?
Not to us.
Right.
He's a father, also not to us.
No, I'm older than he
But
is.
to his name be the glory. Chris Tomlin, church legend,
I knew it.
non-denom OG. Our guest is also a singer, songwriter,
He is.
guitar player, piano player, dancer, entertainer, business owner,
Saxophonist.
saxophone. Yeah, that was like the main thing I wanted to say.
Yeah. He went to school for that, actually.
Really?
Uh-huh. I'll let him tell you about that.
Okay. And the list goes on, but I'm going to cut
Yeah.
the list off because I would like to
Because
introduce.
his head is growing.
I would like to introduce our very first guest. Welcome to the Twerk Ethic Show, Rudy.
There we go.
I made it.
You made it.
We're sharing today.
Rudy, welcome.
Sharing is caring. What's up, Rudy?
What's up, Nathan?
How How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Rudy was kind enough to give the show a bottle of Angel's Envy. Probably better there. Yeah.
The rye version.
Yes, the rye version. Tell us about it again, why it's awesome.
Yeah. I have to thank my wife for introducing it to me because
What up, Annie?
she basically has a work affiliate who has tasted over 1,000 different whiskeys, and he said that this one was
1,000?
1,000. He does annually a retreat where they do like 150 tastings per year. He's been doing it for like 10 years. He says top 3, if not maybe top.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a delicious beverage for.
Well, thank you. And
What
gentlemen,
else?
I'd like to toast, let's write it down in the history books. This is Twerk Ethic Show's first guest. Couldn't have picked a better one.
Welcome, Sam.
Thanks, guys.
That's special. That's real good.
It's a little watered down.
So
That's real good. Wow.
this is fantastic.
Wow. All right.
So Rudy, we were talking outside.
I wanted to buy that for you for a really long time, ever since the show started, because you guys are classy gents.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that leads to what I was about to say. You actually described our show, or the metaphor was a cigar,
Yeah.
and I'm like, there's nothing better you could have said to me. There's a couple things better you could have said to Nathan,
Right.
but not to me.
It's true.
I was honored, and I wanted to ask you. I mean, like, why did you become a fan of this show? I know you like us. We like you. We're friends. But like, before you even knew you were going to be a guest on here, like, what even made you become a fan?
Well, I have to ask before I say anything. Did you get my invoice for this?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes,
I sent it. You got
50,000 for 10 minutes.
That's fine.
Okay,
Just want to make sure you got that.
that's fine.
What? I'll put some on it.
Which, hey,
Put some on it.
again, Patreon, one single payment, $77,000, like payback.
Yes. It's almost free.
It's almost free. But anywho,
Am I allowed to move this?
yeah.
No, man. I mean, obviously, like, we have an awesome community, and everyone's friends with everyone. And I mean, you guys just used to sit outside of Boulder Creek Coffee and do this,
Yeah.
We did.
And then when you started doing it on like an official level, it's post-COVID. So everyone's like needing community in a way that they didn't have for such a long time.
Yeah.
And then there you guys are like doing what we used to do pre-COVID. So it's like immediately it's cool and it's easily accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I was telling somebody the other day, it's like extremely unforced what you guys are doing. Like shows feel, they're on a time crunch, they're agenda based, they're whatever. Or they're even like lacking content, lacking something to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, and I think both of you guys have the magic sauce to just jaw. But
Man,
it
I
works. But it
appreciate
works.
that.
But it's at a slow pace and it's a comfortable pace. So I've been
Yeah.
on road trips and listening to the show, and it's like this is like having a cigar for like 45
That's
minutes.
pretty
or
cool,
whatever.
right, Nate?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then it's like, of course, you guys love cigars.
Yes, we definitely do. And it's interesting because I have to give some credit to Nate because I am a little bit more type A. Like, I'm a musician and I'm creative, but like I'm the stager, the planner, and like I'm the guy that's like planning this big thing. And so every episode, I'm like, all right, this is what we're gonna do, blah, 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 blah. And Nate's like, hey man, let's just talk.
Yeah.
And so what we started doing was we like write down these bullet points. As you see, I'm the only one who actually did write them down because Nathan has a lot more confidence.
That's what this is for.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has a lot more confidence in just winging it, but he couldn't have been more correct in like zoning into what the show is.
Right.
And what we typically do now, we didn't do it today. Actually, we did. The intro is considered this. We do this thing called getting the plane off the ground.
Yeah.
And once we get the plane off the ground, we could do, at that point, we can start improvising. Yeah. But there has to be something at the beginning that like gets us going.
Sure.
Right?
Now we're just at cruise level. We can take our seatbelts off.
I really have to go to the bathroom. I'm just waiting for that light to turn off.
Yeah.
Loretta's in it right now, so you might want to knock.
Your dog?
Yeah.
Y'all, I'm over here at the Twerk Ethic House. And
Twerk Ethic House.
And Jeremy's dog is, I feel like your dog is in love with me.
It probably is. Yeah.
She's so sweet, but she was bolting, doing total dog wind sprints. And I'm like walking up the stairs and she's running at like face level as I'm coming up the steps and she slides 5 feet on her paws right before the edge.
Yeah.
Like right up to the edge.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you going to go flying off the steps?
Yeah. She loves everybody. It's like that girl, you remember the girl in middle school or high school that like had a crush on every boy and was like always talking about it. And it's like, well, that didn't work out. Now I'm going to this one. I'm going to this one.
Right.
That's my dog. My dog is a high school girl. Well, I think a little bit of the intro that we didn't talk about was the fact that Rudy does the scene transitions. Can you? All right. This is something we actually have not talked about before.
Yeah.
Like, why did you guys even write this? Because, newsflash, we did not write this for this show, but we use it for the show. So
Yeah.
how did that
years ago?
How did that come about?
12 Stone was doing a series in which they basically fabricated kind of like a mock 80s sitcom
Okay.
for a few weeks. And that Travis and other people like Matt Mangum were involved. And they had these transitions that now you guys are using as the transitions that they were using between. And so we had to go in and do a theme song. And I guess you played drums on that, a few other musicians. And then I'm playing sax. So we had to do the theme song, which was Dustin and Macy singing. Keep It Together. Keep it together.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kids at home and there's no time to play.
Life's a little more stressful each day.
Science projects, sports on the go.
Not to mention our pets in tow.
So here we are hanging on by a string.
But I love it more than anything.
Even when we fall apart at the seams, our family's gonna follow our dreams. So we gotta keep it together, cause we know the future gets better. Even when the world says whatever, I know that we can make it through. So we're gonna keep it together, cause we know no matter the pressure, love is gonna find us forever. The only thing that we can do is keep it together.
So hilarious. And then we had to write, just like, we sat in the studio for like an afternoon and just went like, what is like happens when like you transition in like Growing Pains or Family Matters, like these 80s, 90s sitcoms. What are those melodies? And I may have just like come up with a few on saxophone, and then the band just like played it just like that sound, and we just recorded.
It's phenomenal. Like
it's hilarious.
It's like I know you guys wrote it, but it seems like you actually found
the vibe
song, clipped it out, downloaded it from the internet, and that's what we. I mean, it's so realistic.
My favorite one is because it's like something's going on. Like,
I also love the one. I love the ones that are just like.
Yeah. That's the glue between the two scenes where there's not anything that's really going on. They just needed to like take a second.
Yeah.
That's like commercial break.
Commercial break.
Yeah. Well, and I think Nate, you had the idea because when we talked about the show, we were like, what do we want the show to be about? And the answer was kind of like Seinfeld. It's like absolutely nothing.
Right.
Like we want it to be about nothing. We want some shows to be really silly and stupid and funny. And then some shows, if that's our vibe and our mood that day, it's going to be a little more serious.
Yeah.
But we also knew that our chemistry, there's going to be some sort of small talk funniness that is whatever, but it's pretty much nothing. Let's just talk about nothing and see where it goes. Yeah. And then this guy was like, hey, we have to use these sitcom things. And he emailed me them. And in my head, I'm thinking, I don't know, Nate. I don't.
They were stuck in my, I had starred them, like, matched the star on there. And they had been in my email since we recorded them.
Yeah.
And like Jared sent me all the files and stuff. And I was like, I got to have those. And that was years ago. And they've been sending my email. And then that's when I came up to you. And I was like, dude, we got to use these for sure, dude. They're so funny.
Yeah.
Plus, we had just written that 80s type theme for the show.
Twerk Ethic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, this will fit in perfectly because it's around that era. Because it reminds me a lot of Alf.
Yeah.
Alf had a saxophone in it.
Oh, yeah.
There's some.
I think Family Matters. That's kind of the vibe I feel.
I got you.
Circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
Who's the Boss type stuff, Growing Pains, just very quirky type stuff. So, but yeah, I was that day. I was in my wheelhouse because I was just write whatever, and I was like, okay. So I was like,
We were laughing.
dude, it was so much fun, bro.
Let me ask you this: do you actually know how the Twerk Ethic name came about?
No.
It's such a short story, but it's
Right?
it's one of the things that like
I don't have time for this.
so it's one of the things that like because you know Nathan so well, you're gonna understand exactly why or exactly how this came about and why he is such a creative genius. And people don't really understand how creative Nathan is. It's actually alarming how creative he can be and how quickly he can be that creative. And we're all creative, but like Nate's Nate.
It's also alarming how good of a dancer he is.
It is extremely alarming. Here's a clip.
Oh, that was a great clip,
Yeah.
man. No, that's so good.
I liked it.
He's also really, really good at air guitar. Cue clip.
But
True.
all right.
Creek.
So we had talked about for a long time, like people ask me, like I have a white collar career, soul sucking corporate career. But I, at my soul, I am an Enneagram type 4 creative. And some days I wake up and I want to be a businessman. And the next day I might identify with a poet. And the next day I might identify with, I'm going to put on my flannel shirt and go chop down a tree. So I have that. And someone asked me, like, well, what would you do? Like, if you could do anything, like, what would your dream job be? And I said, without even thinking, I said, Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? I said, I have this thing, like I would be a really good host and love every second of it. It's like, I want that. Like, and that's all it was at the time. This was like 10 years ago. Then that turned into, man, I'd really like to do like a talk show or, talk radio. And so him and I talked about it for a long time, for years. And then that turned into podcast because that was the new thing. And so we kept talking about it. And I was like, you know what, man? I think we were at the lounge, right? Cigar Lounge when this happened.
Yep.
So we were smoking a cigar. I looked at him and I said, hey, dude, let's do it. Let's do this podcast.
Make help.
So
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
that night we went home, watched Shrek 3, and we made out.
Yeah.
So
3.
is there a third one?
Oh, there was like 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No,
3 is the most romantical one, though.
I don't know. I wasn't watching.
We were.
So we're sitting there watching or smoking the cigar. I'm like, got making out on my mind. And I said, let's do it. Like, let's actually do this podcast. And he turns to me and immediately goes, Twerk Ethic. And I was like,
Mic drop.
and I asked him, I said, hey, did you just think of that? He's like, yeah, I just made it up. I'm like, that's the most amazing podcast name ever. I'm not even going to think about another one. And so there was no actual meaning to it, but I actually like to say it's like, we we work hard, we play hard, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then we looked it up on all of the platforms, YouTube, Instagram,
Nothing.
TikTok,
No one has it.
nobody. Just Twerk it, not Twerk _ just Twerk Ethic. Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody had a Spotify podcast, Apple podcast, an album, nothing.
Blue Ocean, baby.
It was, yep.
That's
Do it.
him.
That's
It
all.
was the, I tried to hashtag it on TikTok. It's like, oh, you made a new hashtag. I'm like, what?
Really?
Boom.
It's insane.
Not a lot of ethics and twerking combined.
Yeah.
Normally online.
Yeah.
It does take talent, though. I've seen some twerking out there. It definitely takes some talent.
Yeah, you can't just like lollygag.
No.
You got to have some ethic.
Yeah.
You know,
gotta have some ethic.
you better be serious. Which
Flesh.
I think dancing is a lot to do with the face. Like when
Yeah, for sure.
when you dance, or like when I see my wife dance, it's all about the face. That's like what makes it funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
You gotta have that ethic.
It's the confidence. And if you have the confidence in the look, it's just like, well, it looks like he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's confident in himself, so
And I'll go.
I'll allow it.
I'll go another layer, right? Another layer here. If you look at our personalities, he's more twerk.
You're more ethic.
And I'm more ethic. Like I'm the serious one. And as I get just a little bit too serious, Nate's like, come here. And he like pulls me out naturally. Like I've actually noticed on the show, I'm like, I think it's getting a little too serious. And then he just drops.
Blow darts you with its
Just right between the eyes.
Right.
And it's just hilarious.
Twerk you in the face.
And we'll be right back after these messages.
So
I thought of some commonalities between us. Maybe you're gonna say these things. That we both used to be roommates with Nathan.
I did not know this.
You didn't know that? I lived with him before you lived with him.
Where at?
At Melody Lane in Lawrenceville. How long did you live with me? 3 years?
So at like your parents' house?
No.
Oh.
No, it was off of Collins Hill Road. Church.
When he first moved to Georgia. We were roommates
Did not know this.
for actually several years.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Another thing we have in common is we got married within like a week of each other.
You and Nate got married?
Yeah, me and Nate got married.
Yeah.
No, you're talking about me and you.
Me and you.
I know. Wasn't it literally a week before mine?
And
was.
and because of the close proximity to each one of our weddings, we weren't at each other's weddings. I was on my honeymoon during your wedding, and y'all were probably just like going 100 miles an hour before yours.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And you know, it's interesting too because I don't think we've hung out since then.
I mean, dude, it's been way
That's why I
less.
wasn't at your bachelor party, because I was at his wedding.
Really?
That's right.
why.
That's right.
We tried to
Yeah.
figure that out earlier.
Yeah. I was like, why wasn't I there? Because I was in his wedding, obviously. But I was like, I wasn't at the bachelor party. I was like, oh, I was at his wedding. That's fine.
That makes a lot of sense.
Dude, I mean, yeah, you got married and I got married and
Yeah.
it's like new lives
Yeah.
kick in.
But we're better people for
Thanks
it.
for the suits, by the way, guys. And Dennis.
Yeah, right?
I got 3 of the same suits, but they're all different, slightly different colors.
I do have a question for you. It might be a more serious question, but something I wonder personally, not just for the show. So, like, most of the time that I knew you, you were some sort of artist, performer, entertainer.
Yeah.
Right. My question to you, because I guess it's 2-part questions. You are a business owner. So tell everyone about your business, including me. I'd like to know. I kind of know what it is, but like, what is your business? And then the second question, which is the one I'm wondering the most, is, do you plan to lean back into the artist world, or are you out of the artist world? Are you going to hybrid it?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Those are very good questions, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically in around 2017, well, actually 2016, I pulled away from full-time singing as a job and kind of just slowly pruned away a lot of the hired singing jobs that I was doing.
Yeah.
And kind of took over doing a business, which is basically a pro audio and transportation business that's related to music. I'm still in the world, but I'm actually not on stage. And a lot of those choices were like, I don't want to be, turning that wheel every single week.
Yeah.
Learning new other people's material and being gone all the time, traveling because I've got a new family, and those are huge factors.
Sure.
Obviously. So it's all purposeful steps, but music, like touring and doing those kind of things, don't play super nice with trying to be like a domesticated person, because they're just like, you're just gone all the time, or late nights. When I got married, we had a routine, like watching Friends at 10 o'clock every night. I started, for the first time in my life, I had an actual like bedtime kind of like routine for the first time. But I think generally speaking, I still miss music. I still want to do it.
Sure.
But I'm like kind of just now starting to like turn my head in that direction.
Yeah.
And I've got a few things popping.
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier that, I have a studio that's pretty nice that I was able to finish during COVID. And I love the idea of just being able to get good at that stuff and feel like, even if I'm 90 years old, if I could be creating something, I don't have to be out performing, but if I can be creating something, that's going to feel like a good thing, But touring and those kind of things, I want to be selective about it, because you can definitely turn into, a little bit of a robot. And I mean, it's definitely a good career. I know Nathan's still chopping it out, doing a lot of work with that, and he's excellent at it. I actually still, from time to time, get requests to do things like that.
Yeah.
But
well, there's also a reason that Nathan's doing this podcast.
Sure,
he's got interests other ways too. I don't mean you're like, I'm not saying like, oh, Nathan's planning to quit his band. That's not what I mean. I mean, it's like, just like I have a career, this is the dream. Nathan, this is the dream for him too.
Yeah.
And I think I relate to you a lot, because when I was 22, 23, I basically did the same thing. I was in a touring band, and I wanted to have the picket fence and the wife and the kids, and I quit, pissed my whole band off, and I quit. And it's literally the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. And I'm just now getting back into that side of me, and COVID did it.
Right, it helps.
Like, I'd started doing all these punk covers, and everyone's like, where did this person come from? I'm like, he's been there, but like, I pushed him way down because I wanted to go get this picket fence life. I really did. And by the way, I got it.
Yeah, you do.
And I love it. Yeah. I have an amazing wife, and like, I love that life. But then also, like, I met you guys. I met tons of good people here in Atlanta, and it's like, I miss some of the stuff with the band, but dude, we were on the road every single day. So it's like 13 hours a day, 7 days a week with 5 dudes.
It's a young man's game.
It's a young man's game.
Yeah.
So I can relate to you on that.
It's definitely like, in moments where you have, the hardest parts of being a family man, you look at the other side of the fence and go, man, remember when? But at the end of the day, like, I've got an awesome son. Cue picture. Announcement, we have another one on the way.
Congratulations,
another
man.
Baby boy on the way.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. And they're going to be 16 months apart. So, wow. Yeah. And, you know,
They're not going to be competitive at all.
I know, right? I mean, right now my son can almost kick my
Really?
just about. He's almost won next week. He's strong.
Oh, Jack.
He's like in the 90th percent size-wise.
Okay.
But, you know, Annie's we just bought a house. And so we got we're doing the thing, man. We're doing the same stuff. And I'm just starting to work on what does it look like to create more. And but in the meantime, the business is picking back up after COVID.
This is 321 event. What's
321 Events Inc. is the name of the company. We don't have anything online. If you try to look us up online, your computer will just shut off.
3, 2, 1.
It'll just log you right out.
321 events. Boom.
And then you see Lena.
What just happened?
But we've been word of mouth for about 8 years. We started in 2013, basically supporting A-Town A-List and then several other bands.
Which is Nathan's band.
Yeah. And I was in it at the time as well.
Yeah.
And sound and then the transportation. So we have like kind of like mini tour buses
Yeah.
that we use.
Yeah.
And it's pretty crazy. It can be a grind even for me with that aspect of it.
Yeah, because I would imagine things don't always go as planned.
No. and guess who gets the call at 3 a.m.?
Nathan.
Mr.
Rudy does.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's cool. Yeah.
So this is kind of another deep question if it's a bad answer, but do you like that? Do you like 321? You like doing it, or you want to do something else? Or
Okay, so that's a really good question. It's a little hard to answer because it sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: I thought it was going to be more passive. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like like my friend and I were talking recently about like building a business that you basically on paper looks extremely passive. I can just like do this and then I can do something else. It's not as passive as I would have hoped. But on the other hand, like for like the last couple of weeks, I've only had to go into the office a couple of days.
Yeah.
And I've been working on our house. And so I have freedoms built into it. And when that happens, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
When I'm on vacation and I'm having a date with my wife and I get a call in the middle of my date next to the ocean and I have to walk away from my date for the rest of the night and tend to problems, I'm like, I quit.
So do you guys do you communicate with him still? Like as part of business?
With Nathan?
Yeah.
Pretty regularly. Yeah. Nathan helps with some of it.
Okay.
So basically every show that Nathan does, they've got, if it's a travel date, I've hired the driver and I've also hired the sound tech that's on site. But with A-Town specifically, anytime you have a production setup and your sound tech, you usually need a second pair of hands to help.
Yeah.
Nathan's always that guy. He's the guy that helps.
Way to go.
Right.
I pay him. But
I don't. He pays me.
That's okay.
And Joy.
And then Nathan will sometimes drive the rigs. Not for long distances, but things like 2 hours away, maybe. Yeah. Because he's the most experienced with it and trust him on that.
Yeah. That's cool.
And he also knows what it's like to be in a wreck, so he drives more carefully.
Yes.
Transition.
Very true.
Anyway.
Dare you.
But the wreck.
Yeah.
Sorry to derail us.
Ooh, bad word.
God, that's good.
Good
That
segue, though.
is good.
That is good.
Good segue.
Crash into me, yeah.
Okay, I've thought a lot about this, but I want your opinion. I've thought about a lot of ways to talk about this because I have a perspective that you guys probably aren't even aware of, and I know the two of you have a perspective I'm not aware of. So, because of respect, I want one of you to start the story, but I think we should all kind of tell our perspective of the day. Kind of like if you were watching an episode of Modern Family and you see this person's whole day and this person's whole day. But who wants to?
Well, for context, just in case you have new listeners, Nathan and I were in a bad wreck in 2015.
Yep.
And we share that specialness. October 2nd, 2015.
Yeah.
Want to go?
Me and Rudy have talked. Why don't you go?
Yeah. A squirrel ran out. I'm just kidding.
Get serious, Nathan.
Right.
God.
Oh, I can. Watch this. You ready? Right. It was a dark and stormy night. It was actually stormy. We had a tropical depression was going through our area at the time. And we had just been hit by one maybe 3 or 4 days prior. So the ground is obviously soaking wet.
Yeah.
So we're on our way to Orlando. And so we're going to meet the bus in Macon because we have to drop off the trailer and meet with the bus. And so that's for another gig. Mm-hmm. So when we come back up, we pick that one up or whatever. Logistical nightmare. So we go down to Macon, and all of a sudden the bus just passes us by. And
They were supposed to take the exit.
And so Rudy's like flashing his lights, and then he's like tries to get back on the road, and then that's when we lose control, and then we slide off the exit and hit a tree and a ditch at the same time. Yeah, and a street sign. And
Like a highway street sign, like the big ones.
yeah, like the exit sign. Mm-hmm. So so we hit that, and I black out before we actually hit, which I'm thankful for. But I remember, grabbing on the old crap handle and be like, here we go. Let's see where this goes. And so I black out, and then I come to, and we're in the ditch, and I'm looking over Rudy, and he's just kind of coming out of the stage too. And I'm just like, and then I feel my ear, and my ear has blood coming out of it. And so I'm just like, so I know what happened, and I'm just like, well.
What time of day was this?
About 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
Yeah. And, but I remember, where he was like, I think you need to call Ryan, which is our band director. And I was like, all right. So I get my phone. I just don't know what to do with my phone. And, cause I just been hit in the head. And, so I'm just like, I know how to use this thing, but I forgot how to. So Rudy's like already on the phone. He was like, I got it. And so he's calling them, and all of a sudden I see blue lights up to us. I was like, oh, Rudy, the cops are here. And I guess somebody had called ahead and like actually saw us wreck, and then they called and gave us our location or whatever. And so, and then I black out again from Rudy's car until I'm in.
Wow.
So I don't remember the walk up. I black out again. But apparently I made it to the ambulance. And so I'm sitting there, and then I'm trying to, like the whole time, like people are trying to talk to me. Rudy's trying to talk to me. And I want to answer him, but I'm trying to figure out like my family's names.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I know who they are. Like if I saw them, I know that's my mom. I know that's my dad. And so I'm just like, but what are their names though? And so, and a friend of ours, Nick Kirk, talked to me about this after we got out of the hospital. He was like, your brain was figuring out another way. It was detouring another way to figure out your family's names, because the typical way to it has been blocked and had been damaged. So it was find another route. So I was like, wow, that's kind of amazing. And so I was trying to figure out, and then I hear Genevieve yelling, just seeing if we were all right or whatever. And then, but then Rudy gets his own ambulance, so he leaves, and they wheel him out. And so all of a sudden, I'm on my way to the hospital, and by the time I get to the hospital, I'm like, all right, Brett is my nephew, Maddie is my niece, Bob is my dad, Norma's okay, cool, I got it.
You hit your head on the steering. Hit your head on the steering wheel.
Yeah, on the
shifter.
Shifter, yeah. So,
It's one of these.
behind his ear.
Yeah, so I hit it up here, and then so when they told me I was bleeding out my ear, they was like, "That's a good thing. You're not bleeding internally, so it has somewhere to go." So I was like, "Oh, I guess that's good. Cool." So, but then I get to the hospital, and then like just stuff just gets foggy from there on out because I'm like until the next day. But that first day, I was, pun intended, a wreck.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, and then I was just like, do you have a sick bag? I need a sick bag. I'm going to throw up. And which I hate worst of all in the world, especially throwing up in front of people, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, here it goes. And
sorry, that's disturbing noise.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but luckily I got all that out. And then I remember Mom and Dad being there. They came, and then your parents were there, obviously, and then and Annie. So, and then by the second day, stuff started to clear up, and I was pretty much back to normal. But they were just doing, keeping me there for CAT scans, just seeing if something had gone really wrong, because that was, the head injury is obviously more dangerous than a foot injury.
Sure.
Am I right? Sorry, office.
You talking about George Foreman grill?
Yeah.
I do remember when he put bubble wrap around his foot.
Yeah.
I do have.
Oh yeah.
So let's stop there because that's your day one.
Right.
In your day one.
Yeah.
So is there any of that you want to add to, or?
Yeah.
No, sorry, you.
Me?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, basically, I had bought an SUV. It's a Dodge Durango, but I needed to be towing trailers with it. So it actually had a Hemi engine in it.
Nice truck.
Yeah, but very powerful. I think it was a V8. I mean, it was very powerful. Oh, yeah. And but it also, and I could hit the gas, and that thing would be like off the block, kind of almost like a drag racer. Sure. But that's what I needed to be able to tow 7,000-pound trailers for our production stuff. Yep. So like Nathan said, we're basically on a tour bus, but I had to move a trailer over to a spot, a couple hours in the car at 3 in the morning. It was raining. And everything he said is true. Like basically the bus was supposed to follow us to that drop-off point so we could drop it and then get back on the bus.
Sure.
The guy I didn't have the guy's number. So he just goes, and like I'm not going over anything, bad or whatever, but that Hemi engine kicked in and my steering went, it just went out from like you pulled the rug like that. Yeah. And the car in like that quick just went sideways with a trailer behind it. So now we're going 70 miles an hour sideways, sliding. And we go.
Now, do you remember this?
I do, but it is an interesting path that I have relived like many times.
I got you.
So I do remember that because I'm asking him about, like, I remember even when I was saying, right when it happened, I was like, hey man, tell me what's going on with the girls these days. Boop. And then it lost control, like zero warning. It wasn't like we were clowning around. It wasn't like we were drinking. Wide awake, sober, everything. Just the rug pulled out. We turn sideways. We blast over the exit 188. I remember it specifically because I got a bill for it later.
Yeah.
The city billed me for the highway sign that I took out.
You got to be kidding.
Isn't that hilarious? Anyway.
My God.
Yeah.
So, but then we probably hit the trees going between 60 and 70 miles an hour at a blunt stop.
Did you pay for the sign?
I don't remember. It was probably part of the insurance. I remember kind of going like,
That just...
Did you black out before or not?
It felt kind of like, this is the things that I think about when I think about this deal. I think there wasn't a place to register what was happening when it was happening.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what the human brain is really good at. It's like...
It was calm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I actually can't process this right now.
Right.
We'll get back to this.
Yeah. I'll think about this a million times again, but in this moment, I can't actually, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
It's like I'm watching it almost calmly happen.
Sure.
Yeah.
but it happened fast.
Yeah.
But when you think about, it's not like sheer panic.
Yeah, 'cause
0 to 60.
There was like silence when it was happening in the car.
Was there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was because none of us we didn't say anything. We were just like, well,
Yeah, and I've never been in a wreck before. I've driven
yeah,
tons, and I'm very careful. But anyway, so we hit the trees, and I kind of remember it's just like they film it in a movie where you're like coming up to the trees, and then the screen goes black. It's just like that in my memory. It's exactly like it.
Interesting.
But what's interesting next is in my mind, it's almost like waking up from a dream. Like I was just sort of like, okay, and my instinct, like he says, to call our band leader because he has the number of the bus driver. He knows kind of. Yeah. It's just like you kind of back then we would call him a lot for things. So I called him and I said, dude, we've been in a wreck. And then I said, wait a second, I need to call 911 and hung up on him. So imagine getting a call from your guy going, I just got in a wreck. And then he just hangs up on you at 3 a.m. He tells me to this day, it was one of the most terrifying phone calls.
Sure, yeah, I can't imagine.
But as I call 911 and I'm coherent, Nathan is not, I am, I go, yeah, we've been in a wreck, southbound 75, exit 188. I'm very crisp.
Yeah.
Right? And she goes, we've already dispatched. They were already there, which I didn't even think about this until like months later. I've been passed out for minutes. I was just completely out.
Yeah, it felt like seconds, but we were out.
I had no register of time. Yeah. And I didn't even know that I had passed out until I thought about it later, going like, the police were already there by the time I was calling them, and I called them immediately.
That's wild.
It was really weird. So here's the stuff that like kind of gets a little gnarly, but like the front end or the side, I didn't actually hit the front, I hit the side, right where the joist to the door was. That's where the tree hit. So thank God I didn't hit my head.
Yeah.
Because I would have been probably one and done.
Yeah.
But I broke my wrist, broke my shoulder collarbone, broke some ribs, and it collapsed my left lung. And then I basically had enough adrenaline to push myself over top of like the thing between the seats, like the armrest.
Yeah.
To put myself, because I tried to open the door and clearly it's just all caved in, like kind of touching me, caved in, So I was like, no, that's not working. I'm using my good arm, right? And I remember kind of like moving my broken hand and feeling it, but it wasn't like mangled. It was just like, it's broken. But I was like, I'm not gonna use that.
Yeah.
So I hopped over, and as soon as I hopped over and sat in the seat that Nathan had been sitting in, because Nathan was standing outside in the grass just like staring, all the pain hit me when I hopped over to that seat.
Yeah, that's when I blacked out.
Really? Mm-hmm. I remember just sitting there perfectly still and just like starting to like,
wow.
Yeah. Like emotional. I think to relive it. But then they pull me out, put me on a stretcher, and I'm like kind of laying like on a stretcher. It hurts so bad because I've broken my ribs and my lungs collapsed, but I'm laying on those hard boards. They put the thing around my neck, which is like, and also, by the way, the thing that hurt the most later was the amount of whiplash that I had. I had like 4 months of whiplash where I couldn't turn my head to
4 months.
Yeah, like it's still to this day is not quite 100%, but for at least a month or more, I couldn't turn my head at all. It was just, and my vocal cords, I didn't like cram. They were like, I was almost talking like this, Anyway, I know I'm dragging on, but this is all the stuff that I was like, and so then I remember going like, I need oxygen. Because I was like, I could feel.
Terrible feeling that must have been.
But it was kind of like I sort of had my zen, but I just like communicated like, I need it. And they put it on me, and immediately I was starting to get better. But then they, started getting there, and I started talking to Nathan, and with his story talking about being incoherent, that really freaked me out because I thought that I had like permanently damaged him. I had. Yeah. He'll never be the same. But I really was heartbroken in that moment because I thought that I had really hurt him.
Well,
so with that,
I'll give you my day one,
please.
Which, in perspective and in combination with you guys, is far less scary, but it was still scary. My level of scary. So I was roommates
with Nate and best friends. Boy, has a lot changed.
Right. No longer roommates, no longer best friends.
Yeah. Just co-workers.
Yep.
Coach workers.
Can't wait to get out of here.
What are you doing after this?
The guys I'm driving. Anyway, bad joke. So that's not, you're a good driver. So
I didn't even put that together.
so all right, I went to work that day, right? I knew you had a gig, but whatever.
Right.
About 8:30, I get a call from Katie Morgan, who, by the way, never calls me.
Right.
So I was like, something clearly is wrong.
Yeah.
Don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but this is either a butt dial or something's very badly wrong. So she called me and she's like, hey, I just was thinking that someone probably hasn't told you about Nathan. And I said, yeah, you're right. And she said, well, they've been in a very bad wreck. Nathan has been hit in the head and he's not responding. Right? This is what I was told.
Jeez.
And they said Rudy is also badly hurt, but he's okay. That's what I heard, is that Rudy's badly hurt. He's okay. Nathan was hit in the head and he's not responding, or like non-responsive or something like this. Yeah. And I'm like, my heart dropped.
Which was true for a little bit.
Yeah. And so I looked at my boss and I said, hey, I'll explain later, but I have to leave right now. I said, hey, I'm sorry. You're going to have to take my meetings and I got to go. He's like, when? I said, right now.
Wow.
And I left and I just started driving, and I knew it was south. So I just got on 85. I didn't even know where to go yet. I just started driving, and then I started panicking. And so who do I call? My dad. Because my dad's the steadiest, calmest person that I know. I told him what happened. I said, Dad, I don't know what to do. He said, you listen to me. Today, you have to be the calm present. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, look, when you go down there, everyone's going to be freaking out. His parents are going to be freaking out. Like, people are going to be freaking out. This is a traumatic thing, but you have the gift to be steady, calm. That's your job. It's not everybody else's job, but your job is to be calm. I said, Dad, I don't know if I can do that. And he said, you can do it. And then tomorrow on the drive home, cry your eyes out. I said, yes, sir. And so I drove down there. And on the way there, I was thinking, what can I do to serve Nathan? Because of course, that's who I was going to first. Sure. And I said, you know what? Nathan is probably so uncomfortable with how serious this is. Just like we talked about earlier, like I'm the serious one. You want to get all sad and melodramatic, and that's me. That ain't him. And I'm like, this has got to be way too serious for him. So I said, I got to hit him with a joke. It could go really badly or it could go really well. And so like I walk in and he's just like in really bad shape. And he just kind of looks at me. He's like, oh, what's up, man? I said, yeah, I'm here to give you a fresh bedpan. And dude, your dad lost it and everyone lost it. And like, to me, it's like one of my favorite moments ever.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that is the best gift I could have given you. And no one else knew that. Because everyone else wanted to like make it a thing and that like, oh, Nathan, it's so serious. Yeah. But I just knew you just wanted to be, you needed some lighter air. Yeah. So I just talked to you for a minute. I leaned down and said, hey man, you got like 387 texts, but just one of them's a girl. I'm sorry. And I was just like making them laugh or whatever. And then I went over and I hugged his mom and I just held her. I said, hey, listen, everything's fine. Look at him. He's hurt. Everything's fine. I did the same with Dad. And then I went out and talked to a couple more people and was calm. And I was literally calming everyone down. And then when I was allowed to, I think Simo and I went up and saw you together. Yeah. And again, calm, blah, 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 blah. And you were a lot more put together. Like you were obviously bandaged up and like seriously hurt. Yeah. But I guess because you weren't hit in the head. Right. So, dude, I thought you were going to die. And it scared me because all I heard was you've been hit in the head and you're not responsive. Yeah. And
it's all the info you got. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so the next day for me, I freaking lost it, you know. And then I made I made that Cowboy JT video, which I'll show right here.
Look here, Nathan, it's Cowboy JT. I heard about your bad day. But we got the whole church praying, and I was talking to, hey, Darlene, what's Leroy's cousin? I was talking to Jeffrey, and his wife, she's going to make you a loaf of bread.
But so the scary thing too was that like you legitimately almost lost your hearing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he had blood. He had blood buildup right in your ears that was there for like 6 months or something like that.
It was there for a while because like even after they cleaned it out, there was like still nothing there, and I was like, am I supposed to be hearing something out of the ear? They're like, no, it's gonna take some time because it's all dried up and stuff, and it's gonna take some time to clear up. So that was never 100%, but it's pretty close though. I mean, it's
Still to this day.
Yeah, it's still close.
Oh, you don't have 100?
No, it's close to normal though. It's like I want to say 85, maybe 90% there, and but it's not 100. But I mean, like I said, I still have the clarity. Just the volume is not quite there. This is always louder. So
How are you feeling today?
Can you hear this?
yeah,
I was thinking about this too. Isn't it weird? Like, I think the scariest part is like that stuff doesn't happen to our community. Like, it was like no one really in our community ever really has problems or nothing crazy happens. And when something hits that's that close, I'm like, Rudy and Nate?
yeah,
And it's like, I just saw Nate this morning. Like, he just literally walked out, you know, or no, it was last night. That's what it was.
Yeah.
We had a cigar the night before.
Wow.
And and I was like, dude, I just smoked a cigar. Like, Nate and Rudy? It's just so weird because it felt so far away.
On that sort of like the community jumping in thing, a quick story that I always think about is, so Annie and I were dating. We weren't married.
Sure. Yeah.
It's 2015. It's a couple of years prior to us actually being married. Yeah. She's actually living at the time in Washington, D.C., going to grad school. Oh. So she gets a message at whatever, 4 a.m. I think because Genevieve probably called her at like 4 a.m. right as this is all happening. Rudy's been in a wreck, you know. But she's a poor grad student, and she can't just afford to fly back on a whim, you know, retail price vibes. Sure. And so I think it was actually Genevieve who put a Kickstarter for Annie to be able to come to the hospital. And then within like 2 hours, that raised like $900.
My God.
And so she got her flight and her rental car. Just people just going, yeah. So think about that, and it's like what you're describing. It's like the community doesn't see this happen very often, so we really care. Like, we're not jaded.
right.
Yeah.
People really wanted to make sure it was okay. I got so much love.
Well, there was another Kickstarter too, right? That was even bigger than that, like longer term.
Oh, was there?
I think it might have been. I don't know if it was for both of you, but
There was one for me
oh, it was for him. Yeah.
because I was
Insurance or
Well,
something?
no, I was out of work.
Oh, that's right.
And,
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't have any work in October. And October to us, that's
Big months.
a big month. But
Because
they started one
It's a
for
big
me.
month for ghosts too.
So I think that was awesome. And then
that was a really good joke.
Thanks, man.
I liked it.
And
And then another thing, I won't mention his name, but he subbed in for me. He actually went to play to the Vegas gig and gave me what he earned.
That's insane. That right there, that's pure.
Oh my gosh.
That's pure.
Does his name rhyme with Bombus Tranch?
No. This is why it wasn't him.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Was it Carter
That was
Beaufort?
amazing. It was.
Transition.
Yeah. You talk
was Carter
about
Beaufort.
you talk about someone giving you their take from a night, you'd be fine.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
But
I'm glad you told your part because before that I recall nothing. I forgot you were there.
oh, I imagine, yeah.
But
I'm a very forgettable human being.
but yeah. But when we start talking about like all the different jokes and stuff, I was just like, oh wait, I remember that. And then my family was there, and then you walked out of the room. I was like, did anybody notice that Jeremy was calm and cool and collected?
You didn't say that.
I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. Just kidding. I didn't say anything. I was like, who was that? He's a pretty cool dude.
Who was that cool, calm guy?
Whoever that dude was, he was awesome.
JT during the day.
We're gonna start a podcast together. I know it.
Man. So folks, drive safely.
Please.
When I see people drive crazy right now, I can't believe it.
Did the pandemic make people worse?
I think so.
Because I'm out there, I'm just like, what are you doing? I don't
We
get it.
were driving the other day, and these like 3 or 4 motorcycles must have gone by us going 150 miles an hour. And I'm like, I know I'm old now, but I'm like, where are your parents?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of part 1, and this is Benedict Francis Maxwell the 35th. How about that, Rudy? Isn't he a rip-roaring heck of a dadgum good time? I love him with my entire British beating heart. Tune in next week for part 2, where the guys talk about the London trip with Dave Matthews and Bruce Springsteen, the mother effing boss. Rudy ends up on CNN Global News and Rushmore is back. Down. I said down. Alfie, get the hell down. Potty? Do you need a proper potty? Potty boy? Potty means pee, you idiot. Are you kidding me? I should have never gotten a dog. I am putting all of my royal eggs in this Twerk Ethic handmade wicker basket. Cheerio, toodaloo, and toodle pip, players.